Matt, sometimes you earn and win. This is called earning a win.
And so the shots that they were making in that game, they obviously didn't make in this game. Like, they didn't get a guy that got going from three like that. And I think that was a big part of our game. They got a lot of the open ones when we got behind things where we couldn't get a defensive rebound. They get those spray out threes, and but nobody really got going for him. Obviously, Phelan had a good game, and he's very talented, and you can see his speed. It's amazing he's only 17 years old. But they have a good team. They have a team that can win it all. So to be able to have that statement and be able to get the win in the fashion that we did, just, proud of our guys. But we did better, like rebounding. We're not there yet, but we did better. I thought Cam Heide gave us a boost with his 8 rebounds and went and got some basketballs. Miles got a really good rebound. I don't know how many he had, but he had 2. But, he got a really tough one there late that we needed. So that was our concern, how dangerous of a team they can be, and they spread you out and shoot it, and then their athleticism to get on the glass. But we had some good individual games. Trey Kaufman gave us a boost in being able to get the basketball and attack down there. Obviously, it was a little bit harder when you had to go against Cliff than their other guys, even though he scored on him a couple times. And then, for Braden to miss 2/3 of his shots and us to have this win, it kind of shows you sometimes you can struggle shooting, but still play a good game. I thought Braden played a good game. Just kind of dominated the basketball. And the stat that jumps out more than anything is the 3 turnovers. If you have 3 turnovers, no matter what else happens, you should win the game. Very few teams are going to lose those games, but if you do, you're probably going to lose against a team that's as talented as Alabama. And I'd be remiss if I didn't just say I thought the difference in the game, kind of the swing in the game, was C.J. Cox coming in. He ignited the game. They got up 6 there, I think 65-59. And then even though he missed his free throw, he had that run where he scored about 9. And it seemed like a minute. I don't know if it was a minute, but how much?
52.
Yeah, that normally does it. And but I thought that swing right there, got the crowd into it. Wasn't like they weren't into it, but when you get on a rut and they're making shots and you're missing, sometimes they're not as loud. And we got them into it, and then I thought we played really well down the stretch.
Matt, you talked earlier this week just about how talented their bench was, how important. And whether it was Jakari and him taking that defensive assignment early, or what CJ did, or Raleigh hitting a big 3, what does it mean for those youngest players to have moments in games of this caliber? And I guess what's it mean for the team to then see them do it?
Yeah, you want to be able to build confidence collectively as a team. You want to feel good as a team. And I don't care who you are as an individual player, you have doubt at sometimes. And so that's why, you got to be able to build each other up. And you just got to, it's your passion. You got to believe in yourself too, especially when things aren't going, as planned. But for our young guys to make the play, I thought Jakari did some really good things. He just didn't get back in the rotation kind of like other night because Miles played so well 2 games ago. And then, CJ got it going right there and really gave us a lift. But I thought Jakari did a good job. I thought CJ did a good job. Miles did a really good job. And, he's going to keep helping himself. It's hard for those guys when you play with a ball-dominant guard like a Braden Smith, and then when you utilize your post guys as much as we do at times. So that balance sometimes doesn't balance out to them if they're not doubling the post or they're not trapping the ball screen. So if they just keep playing in a drop, Braden's going to have more opportunities. If they're going to play one-on-one in the post, they're going to have more opportunities. So it's not as much as what we want to do, it's what they're going to give us, right? And so I thought, I liked that matchup with Trey, so we just kept going back to him in the first half and trying to get it. But our freshmen did some fantastic things. It was great for Raleigh. One thing, he got on E there. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I was trying to get him out. He's got about 2.5 to 3 minutes. Yeah, before he runs out of fumes. E is not for elephant. It's empty. Yeah.
Matt, you talked about that swing that CJ had. He came in and he said that he gave PJ a lot of credit because he got his confidence in his shot. What was PJ doing with him, whether it was through the off season or once the season started, to kind of give him confidence in his shot and to find his shot a little bit more?
Yeah, well, he's always been able to shoot the basketball even before he met PJ. So, like, he can make pull-ups. And when he makes one, he's one of those guys that's instantly hot. Or at least, he thinks he's instantly hot, and that's all that matters. But, like, once he makes two, though, he's going to go back to the well. So, PJ just did a good job of just getting him some open court ball screens. And, right as he made one, then he made two. The one that he made on the 4-point play was a tough shot. And we see it in practice all the time. And it's one thing to be able to do it, but to be sitting on the bench and then come in cold and being able to do that's tough. That is really tough because it's hard to get in a rhythm, and he got himself into a rhythm immediately.
Hey, Matt, you just talked about your freshman, C.J. Raleigh. Talk about your philosophy. You played so many freshmen, so many big minutes, not afraid to play those guys. What's it like for you, philosophy-wise, to play these freshmen to know that they're going to succeed?
Yeah, well, it's a need. Your rotation shortens a little bit sometimes in the second half. I should say mine does. When you feel somebody is playing well, like I just stuck with CJ, right? Because he had played well. Cam Heide has done some good things for us. He stretches the defense too. So sometimes when he doesn't get as many cracks at it, but we need him. And that's a little bit different than a lot of other people because we don't live in the portal as much. So people are going and getting those fifth years. Last year, the fifth year, and I think they have 5 of them. So they got guys in their 5th year playing, not 5th year and playing 4. I think that they have 5 guys that are in their 5th year playing, and we have nobody in their 5th year, and we only have 1 guy in his 4th year. And then our other guy that's a 4th year redshirted, so it's his only 3rd year playing. So I think that's always going to be our sell in recruiting, is that you got a better chance to come and be able to play right away. But it's not always perfect. We've had guys be MVP of the league and come off the bench as a freshman. We've had guys start as freshmen, and then they don't start the next year. So, if you just be honest and keep it open competition, you get really competitive in practice, and you see a lot of growth.
Coach, big over here.
Thank you.
Big win tonight. Just kind of how can a win like this give you momentum going forward into what's going to be a gauntlet part of your schedule? Marquette coming up, then you have North Carolina State in a few weeks, and then a couple non-conferences before a couple conference games. Just kind of how can the momentum of this one carry over into other games?
Yeah, the thing that'll happen is our next game's on the road, and it's going to be difficult. So it's just different on the road. And so that is why we played Creighton. That's why we played Arkansas before, because we don't want that to be our first road game. We want it to be our second road game, and the first one doesn't count. But the experiences count, and the lessons count. And that's what helps you more than anything, of understanding, we didn't play very well at Creighton. And you're not going to play as well to start a season, right? You kind of see that in the Champions Classic. You see 4 great programs, 4 great coaches, and the play's not always clean. Well, you're not going to have clean play all the time. It doesn't mean you shouldn't play, right? And so, now to be able to play somebody as good as Marquette on the court, on their home court, now you see where you are. Whether you win by 20, lose by 20, it's a close game, you're going to learn some things about your team, and you're going to get better from it. That's what we're, trying to do. And when we lost to Creighton, I just said, in 3 weeks, we play Alabama. We got to be able to improve in those 3 weeks to give ourselves a chance. It doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but you got to give yourself a chance. And we took care of the basketball, and we fought them on the glass. We still had shortcomings, right? They were living in the paint. We got to do a better job of keeping the basketball out of the paint. But that's what you want. You want that. Even if we would have lost today, this game still would have helped us. That's hard to take, but it's true.
Matt, you said yesterday your bench had to be better than their bench, and they outscored you. Most of that is from Phylon getting 18, but production-wise, from Caleb, Cam Heide on the boards, Miles' defense, do you feel like your defense did outperform, or your second unit, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's probably a question for after film. When you watch things to see, like I said before, I thought we had breakdowns, but we continued to play hard, and just kind of understanding where you are when you come in and who you're with, like the bench, like the guys that played more, You know, for Caleb to make those free throws at the end and he plays 13 and a half minutes, like that's very hard to do. And so, like, you know, that's huge. Miles' defense, CJ's defense, you know, Cam Heide gives us that versatile guy that can play that 3-4. Raleigh, you know, scores 2 baskets when he gets in, and one of them's a 3. You know, that was huge for us. So I thought our bench did great. And I thought they did. Obviously, you know, Phelan's been starting for him, so he comes off. But that's what great teams have. Like, Alabama has more than 5 starters. You know, we got more than 5 starters, and that's where you can really grow because guys start to settle into roles. But then when guys step up and play, they're going to play more, and they're more, you know, productive.
You've kind of touched on it a little bit, but just how important in the grand scheme of this game were the minutes you got from First and Burgess in the first half after Berg and Trey picked up their 2 early fouls? That could have put you in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah. You know, both of them are versatile. You know, especially, you know, Caleb from a defensive standpoint, he can guard a 4 and a 5. They run such good action, like trying to stay consistent in what we're doing, especially in their ball screen and their ghost action. They can really get you, you know, on their hip and break you down. So to be able to bring those guys, you know, off the bench, and they give us athleticism, they give us versatility where we can switch and do some different things, you know, that really helps us. But Trey's ability in the first half to play with 2 fouls and not get that third, you know, it's always a little dicey, right, when you got a guy with 2. But we just, I shouldn't say we, I just thought at that 4:30 mark in the first half, I didn't see us finishing the half if we didn't have somewhere to go with it. And to get him the basketball and for him to score right away and then get a couple more field goals there, I thought that was a big thing for us just to, you know, hold serve. Then obviously Fletch made a big 3 again, you know, at the end of the first half.
Coach, this squad's ability and willingness to take a charge, does it stick out to you compared to past teams?
Yeah, they're just not calling it the same way. So, like, you really got to be there for like a week. But the ones we tried to take other night that were blocks, they were blocks after watching the film. I thought Braden gave a pretty good attempt the one time. But, yeah, like when some guys are just driving down Main Street, like you got to stop the basketball. But you got to get out of that the arc, right? So you can't be in that arc. And if you are, you got to be a jumper. I hate that because, you know, you've been just taught your whole life. It's just such a basketball play. So we don't have, you know, rim protection, you know, with Daniel being out. So, like, that's the next thing, right? You know, take a charge, come over, take a charge. And now they're really trying to get away from it so there's not any collisions with it. But no, you know, what else can you do at that point, right? You know, if you're not a shot blocker.
Coach, back here, we saw Mark Sears had a big game against you guys a year ago, scoring 35 points.
Mm-hmm.
This year, he really gets limited. You threw a lot of different guys at him. Can you kind of talk about defending a guy like that?
Yeah, you know, I think he had some misses. I think our guys did a good job, but he also had some misses that he normally makes. Like, he just didn't get in that rhythm. And he got into it right away last year. His first couple that he made last year were tough, man. They were tough. And you could see, like, you know, he had that feeling. And, you know, he carried it out. But I thought our guys did a good job on him and just made it hard on him. You know, he's very shifty and just his change of direction, his change of speed, and then his ability to shoot step backs and make those threes. So good player, really good player.
Casey and then Brian. Mac, Caleb plays, 13 minutes, draws 4 fouls, plus 8. Just his journey from being a freshman that started, sophomore that started, to not play much last year, to have inconsistent minutes, him just to stick it out with your program and what he's become as a leader.
Yeah, he was great tonight. You know, I thought he gave us, you know, a real spark. You know, more than anything, like, you know, it's so hard to come in and play. Being solid, you know, you hear that so much. Like when you come in off the bench, like, get loose. I used to always tell Coach Katie, he'd always be like, you know, don't shoot it the first time you touch it. Get a lather. And I'd say by the time I get a lather, you take me out. And so he never thought that was funny, just like you guys. But, like, you know, it's hard. It's hard to play 3 or 4 minutes at a time, don't have anything run for you, and just play that role. Like, you know what I mean, and play it. But that's what wins. Like tonight, Miles Colvin doesn't take a shot, and he really helps us win the basketball game. And, you know, and that's different for him because he's a shot maker, you know. But it kind of shows you now, you want to be a shot maker, you want to be a basketball player. You know, you got to do other things, and now he's doing other things. Caleb's doing other things, and really helping us right there. And that's what it comes down to. You know, is you know, being able to sacrifice and do little things to help your team win. So, happy for Caleb.
Coming back with Trey with 2 fouls in the first half, same thing with Fletcher. Both of those situations
Right.
made pretty big differences in the games. How do you make that decision? Is it a feel for the game? What's the calculus behind bringing somebody back with 2 fouls?
You just don't. When you play people that good, I've done it versus everybody at times. Then other times, if your lead is bigger, I'll hold them there. Sometimes with those guys, when they get those first 2, if you don't get them in there for a little segment, now when they play in the second half, just get them to get back in there and get a feel. And with those guys, I just thought it was a need. Like Fletcher's so smart, knows what's going on. Fletcher helps with our spacing because people stay with him, but he also can make plays. Like you see the drive he makes to start the second half. Like he can just make those intermediate shots. And but no, it's more of a feel. I don't have a rule to where you get 2 fouls, you don't play. And sometimes I hold them, sometimes I don't. It just depends on our need. If the guy that's coming in can do the same thing that you can, I'm holding you. If I feel like you got to give us something here that maybe other guys can't give us with your experience or your shot making or your post-up game, whatever it might be, then I go with you. But I yell at those guys next to me to say, make sure I get them out in those defensive switches. I mess that up sometimes.
Was going to Trey like that, was that a key for you going in, and why was that such an effective well for you guys to keep going back to?
Yeah, he's got a good low post game. He's got a good feel for things. He had a couple tired plays. You could see that. He's getting exhausted. He's got to be able to play through that. And if that's the case, kick it out and go set a screen and get the ball moving. But no, we have confidence in him. He's actually shot free throws well. Tonight he didn't. But he's done a good job. He was 7 for 9 last game. And, anytime you can shoot better free throws, you're more confident in yourself. You're not, thinking about getting fouled. You want to get fouled. And that's what we want from him. But he's improved as a passer too. So sometimes you get guys and it's like a black hole, right? You throw it in there and it's never coming out. It's just going in and and if those guys can really score, then great. But Zach really took off with his decision making. Travion was such a fabulous passer, and now that's something that he's added. He has 4 assists, 0 turnovers tonight, and that's great because if they take things away from him, now he can set somebody else up or at least get the ball moving. But Trey's a good player, man. He's waited his turn. He's worked really hard. He's put in a lot of time to be where he's at right now. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.